Welcome to Toontyme, bringing you Newcastle United news and discussion. So, Happy New Year. I hope everyone who got through was coming to the new year peacefully and joyfully. Um, yeah, and that this year, whatever you're trying to achieve, it hopefully comes to fruition. So, this is just basically just a review of Saturday's game against Leeds and a little preview of the game against Arsenal on Tuesday. So yeah, let's get into it. So the 0-0 draw against Leeds. It was a tough game for us. We dominated them pretty much, and we had by far the better chances. We should have really have won the game, but we just lacked that little bit of quality and composure in the box or in front of their goal. And it was just one of those games where unfortunately we fell victim to what they were trying to do, which was make the game as disrupt the game as much as possible, make it very scrappy, very stop-start. To get into, they were trying to get into our heads. You could see the players were getting a bit. Just as the game went on, it was becoming more and more willing to react to their shenanigans, and that was their focus. It seemed because they very much came for the point, which is a mark of respect, to be honest, and it shows how far we've come, especially through 2022. Because at the start of the year, a lot of teams would have come to St James Park expecting to have a game and maybe pick up their 3 points. But Leeds, who are struggling this season, I think they're after Saturday's result, they're 16th, I think. No, sorry, 14th on 16 points, and they came with the game plan to cause as much frustration and disruption as possible, and they managed to achieve it, and they were very happy with their point. So you have to commend them. They've done what they had to do, and there's gonna be games where we have to do that at times, where we're gonna have to cause as much disruption as possible, and just make it a very difficult game for our opponents. I mean, that's what we had to do against Liverpool, to be honest. It was just there was lots of time wasting, making it as stop-start as possible. Even though at the start of the game we were taking the game very much to them. Once we went ahead, it did seem like we were more willing to cause disruption and make them quite just get into their heads basically. Even though in that game, as everyone knows, the second goal for Isaac was a very contentious offside. I don't know how the referee or the VAR didn't spot that. It was very much millimeters, and I think the onus was on the season to make it more favourable to the attacking player. But the less we talk about that, the better. So yeah, I think that's more from a mark of respect of how we're seen in the Premier League now. They very much saw us as a very dangerous team, and they had to batten down the hatches and come up with the game plan to make the game as difficult as possible for us, as they knew if they tried to go toe to toe and make it into a game, where they're trying to showcase their abilities, they're most likely going to get a rendition of what happened against Leicester on Boxing Day. And speaking about that, if you think back before the game against Leicester on Boxing Day, I think a lot of us would have thought Leicester and Leeds to come out of it with 4 points out of 6. It was quite a good haul of points, and that's how I feel as well, because before we played Leicester, I thought it would have been a much closer game. They were in good form before the World Cup break, and they had a good game against MK Dons in the League Cup before they played us, and we just blew them out of the water. We can't say we weren't well rested or prepared for the Leeds game. It was just one of those games. It seemed the referee didn't help. Both teams, both us and them, should have had a few more yellow cards, because he allowed a type of physicality, and I feel like he was trying to make the game, let the physical part of the game manifest, but it wasn't physicality in terms of 50-50 challenges, and players having to stand their ground, not go down softly. It was just nonsense. He was letting late challenges happen, professional fouls, and when we had counters, he would allow trips to happen and things like of that nature. And he would allow persistent fouling, which is supposed to be stamped out very quickly because Leeds, they seem to be pursuing that route of play, because there were a few occasions where you saw the players taking it in turns to foul Bruno or Joelinton, or even Trippier. Just they would all take their turns, and that's the type of stuff you see in amateur football. There's games where you see that where they say, "Ah, that's their best player. Let's all take a turn. We'll foul him, try and get in his head, disrupt his game." And after a while, the referee is supposed to stamp that out. But on Saturday, the referee allowed that game to persist, and without victim to it. Sort of talk about, like, I've been seeing in blogs on Reddit and some forums. Everyone's talking about Saturday and the poor finishing from like Chris Wood, Sean Longstaff. Even Fabian Shaw missed a very good chance. But especially talking about Sean Longstaff, that we have to be looking to get rid of him and things like that. And I feel like that's I can understand maybe in the much longer term picture he probably is gonna fall very much into a squad player. But I feel like he has improved quite a lot, and especially what he'd gone through, the loss of confidence in his abilities and his ability to impact the game positively. And this time last year, he was very much at a crossroads in his career, where he thought he was going to leave Newcastle altogether, as he didn't think he had a chance of having a real career on Tyneside. So I feel like people forget what he does offer to us. There are times where he is sloppy or in his passing, or is a bit slow in terms of making his decisions, and his finishing definitely needs a lot of work on it, because he should at least hit the target once on Saturday. But I do like his endeavour. He gets around the pitch. He's not the quickest, but he seems to have the ability to just run for days, and cause problems with his pressing, because he does press very well. He knows how to cover the space correctly, and I feel like yes, he should be a rotation player if we can get another player in. But I'm not going to be there saying, "Oh, we have to get rid of him," because he does put in very good performances recently, and he has been part of this winning run. I mean, of our past 10 games, we've won 8 and drawn 2. I saw a form table, and that's the only team that's doing better than us in terms of form at this moment in time is Arsenal. So that's the type of company you want to be in, and he has been a key cog in Eddie Howe's system. And Chris Wood, yeah, he's very much showing why he's pretty much the third choice striker from looking from Saturday's performance, But that's what I expect. Yes, he didn't hold up the ball as well as he could have, and he definitely should have, especially at the start of the game, he should have been able to get across a square ball to Joelinton, and his finishing needs to be better. But that's what he expect. That's what we knew we were getting. He's serviceable. He's pretty solid. He'll work very hard. He'll fill in the gaps. Like if a player runs up here, drop in. He's a hard working player, and yes, we did. He should have been scoring even more so than Sean Longstaff, considering he's a striker and that's his very much his skill set is to score goals. But you just have to accept that the rough with the smooth at the moment, and he's doing his best. Hopefully Callum Wilson is available for the game against Arsenal, because we definitely need his mobility and his ability to disrupt defenders, because that's what we're probably going to have to do against Arsenal at times. We're going to need Callum Wilson just to get into the defenders' heads, Joe Linton is going to have to will probably do the same. to disrupt their flow, because they are flying at the moment. The way I watched the Brighton game, and at times it didn't seem like they were doing anything, but then they were just clicking to action, and it just ended up being a goal. To me, they were, I wouldn't say fluid, but everyone seemed to know their jobs. They were very effective, and when the opportunities came, they took them, and they got the luck of the draw at times. I mean, the Bukayo Saka goal, it was just so fortuitous. It was the fact Odegaard's shot just bounced to him, and he just took it in his stride and finished it. And that's what you have to do, and that's what Arsenal have been doing this season. So hopefully we see something similar when opportunities fall our way when we play them, because we have to be very decisive. I feel like it's going to be a very hard game, and it's going to be very much the midfield is going to settle things. And I would love to see Sam Maximin start against them, but I don't see it happening, especially with Kieran Trippier being suspended due to him tying up 5 yellow cards. So it's going to be a very tough game in terms of the defence, so we probably won't see Sam Maximin from the start, and hopefully we can just hold our ground, or even if we just fall behind like by 1 goal, we can bring him on and he'll be the catalyst to help drag us over the line. I don't like thinking like that, because I was watching the Eddie Howe press conference earlier, and he was saying very much that we go into games preparing to beat the team, and that's how I like to see it. I feel like we can beat them. They are a beatable team, even though they're in hot form. They have their weaknesses. Callum Wilson will cause those defenders some problems. We've seen at times there can be what's the word for it? I wouldn't say soft, but they can be taken advantage of. Their players will sometimes try and mix it up. Gabriel, he tends to do that a lot, and Ben White, it seems he can get disrupted on occasion. So we can cause them problems at their back, I feel. And it depends on their midfield, because even Granit Xhaka, he's another one who can let the red mist fall over him. So we can cause them some problems, I feel, when we face them. And it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Howe sets up, because he's going to have to protect Javier Manquillo, because since he's been playing on the Eddie Howe, he has not been very good. The fact that Emil Kraft pushed him very much to the back burner shows how much he hasn't. I don't know if he's taken to the new regime at all, because Emil Kraft was shining, and I feel like if he hadn't suffered the ACL, I think it was at the start of the season, if the situation came up where we're losing Kieran Trippier for a few games or a game, Emil Kraft was stepping up to the plate very much and playing at a very good, consistent level, which I never expected him to be able to do, and he was doing it going both ways, defensively and attacking wise. So I don't know what's going to happen with Javier Manquillo, but I see because Trippier's not going to be playing, I don't see Sam Maximin starting now. Hopefully Callum Wilson's available, because he's desperately needed. When he came on Saturday, you could see he was getting back. I wouldn't say getting back his fitness, but his mobility was there, but the sharpness wasn't there. I saw some things where I've seen ratings where people put Sam Maximin as though he never played very well, but he was causing the Leeds backline some problems. The play did become a bit more disjointed when he did come on, but I just noticed he's playing a lot better than he's looking like he's very much fitting into the system Eddie Howe's trying to cultivate, because I saw something I never really saw from Sam Maximin. His off the ball movement just looked a lot better. He was willing to make the runs down the flank, when he didn't have the ball. There were times where he would fall into his photo type and he'll want the ball to feet, but there were a couple of occasions where I saw him making runs in behind, and that was interesting to see. So you can see that his mentality is very much changing. I felt him seeing Miguel Almiron excelling so much, I think that might have been a catalyst in his mind to say, you know what, I need to start adding some more things to my game, because this guy's becoming, I wouldn't say a superstar, but he's becoming very much a star in this team and very integral to the way that we play. And a lot of what Miguel Almiron does after his hard work, like pressing and just causing, doing the defensive side of his forward role, is the after ball movement, and that's a big criticism that I've always had of Sam Maximan, that his after ball movement is pitiful, to be honest. And I remember he where he made a comparison to like Sadio Mane, and it's like, I thought at the time, I think I've said it before, but if you're comparing yourself to Sadio Mane, you gotta remember that's one of the best off the ball players in the world. If you know what I mean, there's no doubt in terms of his off the ball movement. It is excellent, and hopefully he's taking that on board from Eddie Howe, that if you want to be a dominant player in this league, you got to be able to move off the ball. You got to be able to trust your teammates and run into space, and trust that they're going to give you a ball. You know, if that's what he wants to be, he's going to have to understand. I hope he understands that now. And I think seeing Miguel Almiron, because a lot of his goals have come, Miguel Almiron's goals have come from his movement. You know, that goal against Leicester was all about movement. You know, the first ball, Bruno knocks it out to him and Trippier were in the same area. Trippier called it, says it's mine. Knocked it down the line for him. He ran down, cut back inside, 1-2 with Bruno. It's in the back of the net after some nice dribbling by him. And that's how you disrupt teams. And hopefully that's what we see more with Sam Maximan going forward. Yeah, so that game against Arsenal, I think there's been no issues in terms of injuries from what I heard from Eddie Howe. But I know he's very much a person, from what I've seen anyway, that he'll look at players on a day-to-day basis. I thought that's the reason why Callum Wilson wasn't. That's why he didn't play on Saturday, as he had the training sessions. So hopefully he might have had a training session on Sunday and maybe one today on Monday, and look at him in terms of his availability for tomorrow's game. That's Tuesday the 3rd January, so we'll have to wait and see. I hope he does start, because his mobility is going to cause a lot of problems for Arsenal, and we need that. Because it may be a thing of where him and Sam Maximan probably come off the bench again, because we need him for the whole season, especially with Alexander Isak still. It's unknown his availability. I've even heard reports that he might not be available till February. So that thigh injury, I don't know what's happened, but I think it's done some serious damage to him. Because I thought he would be available after the World Cup, but I think there's been quite a few setbacks, and I'm glad that the team is taking their time. I know a few people are very unhappy with the Isaac transfer so far, but you saw the ability before he got injured. It's just sometimes you have to accept it. He's a very young player as well. I wouldn't say it's necessarily growing pains, but it happens, and you just have to be patient. He hasn't got an extensive injury record, so when he does come back, I know he'll be firing, and I know that's what Eddie Howe wants. He wants players available down the stretch, so there's no point trying to rush them back to make for them to have a re-injury, which causes them to be out for a period of time again. It's better just to slowly bring them along and make them integrate back into the team and get their fitness back, because that's what we need. Because I felt like we forget where we were. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say, so there's a very vocal minority, unfortunately, who've forgotten where we started 2022. We were not doing great, very poor, bottom of the league, very few points. We're looking very much at the trapdoor of relegation, and where we are right now, we're talking about top 4. At the start of this season, we would have been extremely happy to finish 8th. The talk amongst the fan base was consolidation, top 10 finish. That'll be a nice season for us. And then we continue to build a squad. We are miles ahead of where we're supposed to be in terms of this project. And me personally, I'm very happy with how everything's happening. If we manage to finish in the Champions League spots this year, I'll be ecstatic, because I would never have thought it was possible. To finish in the top 6, I'm gonna be very happy. And even top 8, you know, if we fall off a bit, it's expected. The squad's small at the moment, and the quality drop between the first 11 and the general squad. There's still, to be honest, there's almost a chasm between players. I mean, Jacob Murphy came on the other day, and I like him in terms of his work rate, his passion, his dedication to the team, but he does lack quality at times in the final third. He's showing it, you know, throughout the season. He's finishing. He's had some close shaves, but at the end of the day, you gotta put it in the onion bag, basically, or put it into dangerous spaces in terms of crossing. And it's been a bit hit and miss. I mean, Ryan Fraser, he can't even get a game anymore. You know, so that's the standards. You can see Eddie Howe's raising them all the time, and he expects players to maintain them, and that's very hard to do in the Premier League. So we just have to be proud of the players that we've got and everything they've done over the past season and a half, I would say, you know. So yeah. So let's hope for a good start to 2023 against Arsenal. And wherever you are, thank you again once again for listening, and have a good morning, afternoon, evening or night. Peace.